Have you ever thought, why do I keep eating when I'm not even hungry?
Or maybe you're just overwhelmed by all the diets and wellness trends. It's chaotic out there. Hello, I'm Dr. Yang.
Hi, I'm Zoe, and welcome to Ask the Binge Eating Expert, the podcast where we get real about binge eating and healing your relationship with food.
We're the co-founders of ArtCare, the #1 science-backed app helping people stop binge eating. We cut through the noise and tackle the real roadblocks to recovery without shame, without judgments. Do you have any food allergies?
Nope, nothing serious. But I have a friend whose partner has a severe food allergy. Like, it's a long list. Nuts, dairy, eggs, gluten, shellfish.
Wow, that must make eating together really tricky.
Yeah, my friend told me that when she's with her partner, their food choices are super limited. There's so many things her partner just can't eat. To keep them safe, she avoids those food too, even stuff she normally loves.
I can imagine that gets exhausting, always having to think about what's safe.
Exactly. Even if she's craving pizza or a creamy pasta dish, those are off limits. So she ends up being restricted by her partner's allergy, and she doesn't get to enjoy some foods the way she used to.
How does she cope with it?
She told me that when she's out with me or other friends, without her partner, she's usually the one who picks the restaurant. She calls it liberating because it's the only time she feels total freedom and to be around food.
Food allergies don't just affect your body, they affect your relationships and sense of belonging.
Yeah, exactly. And there's this anxiety as well, always checking ingredients, bringing your own food, carrying emergency medicine. It's a constant mental load.
That sounds exhausting. You're not just eating, you're constantly problem solving and planning.
Absolutely. It made me realize how lucky I am to eat without those worries, but it also gave me so much respect for people who deal with those every single day.
Same here. And it makes me wonder, how might allergies set someone up for an eating disorder?
I wonder if today's letter touches on that. Shall we take a look?
Hi, it's Sam from Portland. I feel like I've always had a complicated relationship with food. I grew up with multiple food allergies: peanuts, dairy, eggs, so eating was never simple. At birthday parties, I'd sit off to the side with my safe snacks while everyone else had cake and pizza. I learned early on that food could be dangerous, that I always had to be careful. But as I got older, even though my allergies never went away, I started binge eating the foods I could have. I wasn't just eating, I was compensating for years of restriction, isolation, and missing out. I struggle to tell what's true hunger, what's habit, what's rebellion, and what's leftover fear. I know the allergies started the food restriction, but I can see now that they also set me up to develop this binge eating cycle. How do you rebuild a normal, trusting relationship with food when it's always felt like a threat or a burden?
Sam, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, you carried so much from such a young age, not just the physical burden of food allergies, but the emotional weight of feeling different, left out, and constantly needing to be cautious. That's a lot for a kid to carry.
Absolutely. What you shared about sitting on the sidelines at birthday parties really hit me. Food isn't just nutrition, it's a connection, celebration, gives this sense of belonging. Being cut out from that, I think it can really shape your whole relationship with food.
Yeah, and what you're going through now makes total sense. Years of necessary restriction and hypervigilance can turn into rebellion, especially when you finally feel safe enough to let go. All those unmet needs and emotions come pouring out.
It's something we don't often talk about, how difficult it must be to navigate your relationship with food when there is actually a right or wrong food for you.
Exactly. We always say that an all or nothing mindset isn't helpful, that moderation is key. But in this case, moderation isn't an option.
Yeah. This is a really powerful moment to bring in Laura, a dietitian who specializes in eating disorders. I'm really curious if she has worked with others in this space, on people juggling both food allergies and disordered eating.
Yes, let's hear our thoughts.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Gaida. I'm a registered dietitian. I own a private practice, Nourish Others, LLC, where I see clients on a one-on-one basis who struggle with disordered eating patterns. I also started up this amazing group called Dietitian Circle, a network of dietitians that work in mental health. We get together twice a week to talk about cases. We have a book club, a co-working group, and support one another because I felt very alone and isolated when I first started my practice, and I do not want that for other people.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Laura. We had a letter from a listener who's struggling with both food allergies and binge eating. The first question is it common for people with food allergies to develop disordered eating?
It does really add complication to food because all of these things from a dietitian perspective that I'm like, ooh, I don't need you to do, right? I don't need you to read the ingredient list. I don't need you to look at how the product was made or where it was made or any of those things. But whenever you have allergies, especially like Sam with peanuts, dairy, and eggs, you do have to look for cross-contamination from facilities. You do have to look at how the product was made, where it was made, all of those things. You do have to become more interested in your food. And sometimes that can get obsessive. I will say that nowadays they make way more products for people that have allergies than what they did previously. I know that whenever I was first becoming a dietitian and I had to try, celiac friendly foods, they did not taste good. But nowadays they do have more options and they do taste better, especially also dairy free in this birthday party where everyone's eating pizza. And you can also eat pizza. Your pizza just looks a little different. You can participate in the cake. The cake might just look a little different. There is going to be more hope for this. I'm sorry that at your stage, Sam, that was not where it was.
What does balanced intuitive eating look like when, in cases like Sam, when you must avoid entire food groups for medical reasons? For Sam, it's allergies. For another person, it could be related to other medical condition management.
One of the things that I tell a lot of my clients too is we never have to avoid an entire food group. We might have allergies. We might have certain things that we're not allowed to have due to medical complications and associations. But in eliminating all of the carb category, there is not an allergy that I have found yet. So if somebody's very allergic to wheat, they can still do rice. If somebody's very allergic to dairy, they can do dairy-free cheese. Or, they have so much coconut yogurt out there nowadays or almond yogurt. We don't need to have it be restrictive. It can just be alternative. And that's how I like to frame it because it gives people a different idea.
Do you support clients or patients with this kind of restrictive eating conditions in their mentality? As in, for example, for Sam, he had this rebellious mindset. He felt like he's been missing out. He needs to compensate that. So I'm curious if there's any mental support that you provide to make them feel safe and feel natural around food.
I think it's so much about validation. Sam, that sucked. I am so sorry. We don't now need to have that restrictive mentality because look at all of the things that we can do. Look at all of the different foods that we can have. Changing that mentality. It's really about showing them their products that they can have and how to get them. I have a client who really struggled with acid reflux, and chocolate was very inducing for acid reflux for them. This is not everybody. So please, not everyone, just don't eat chocolate anymore. Chocolate's delicious. But she was struggling so bad with it, and she ended up having scars in her esophagus because of it. And I was like, how can I get this person to eat chocolate or chocolate-like something? And we found carob. Carob is not acidy, so that was a great alternative for her. If there's a will, there's a way. Now, she takes her vanilla ice cream with some carob chips in it.
Yeah, that's really nice.
We can figure out an alternative to almost anything. If you have a gluten allergy, we can do gluten-free bread, right? We got this. We'll figure that out.
Right. Do you have any tips for people in handling social events like parties or travel?
So travel is a lot harder than parties because at parties you have a little bit more control of being able to leave and go places, bring something or have something available. If you're hey, I'm allergic to peanuts, nobody's going to be oh my God, why don't you just eat the peanut? Nobody's going to say that because anaphylaxis is terrifying. People are pretty good and pretty respectful of that. But whenever you travel, it's so much more challenging. A lot of my clients that have celiac, they really struggle going overseas. I usually try to help a client by saying hey, it's good to have a phrasing around no gluten, no dairy, no egg, no whatever. And then also bringing some backup bars or something that are safe for you. Look up some restaurants ahead of time and see if we can have some things without getting too obsessive. So I'll usually give clients 15-minute we're looking at restaurant things so that they don't become super obsessive.
I love the technique as well. So you do your research, but you don't overspend or over-engineer 15 minutes of research.
Thanks for joining us. Make sure to subscribe to the Ask the Binge Eating Expert podcast so you never miss an episode. Have a question you want us to answer? Email us at askthebingeeatingexpert@gmail.com.
Please note, the advice provided on this podcast is not a substitute for professional treatment, therapy, or clinical care. If you're looking for additional support or want to take action on your own terms, check out the Our Care app, the #1 science-backed app for overcoming binge eating.